This is a device that I have found useful in sorting and testing, particularly digital ICs. It also works with some analogs. If you look on YouTube, you'll find a lot of videos about this thing. It's called IC Tester, and it looks a little bit like this. It's been around for quite some time. I've had this one for a little while. I wrote down where I bought it, and I paid $34.99 for it from a place called Epsomotor in China. I ordered it on a Wednesday. They shipped it. It arrived in Los Angeles on Thursday, the very next day. It took the post office a while to get it to me. They apparently kind of lost it over the weekend, but they found it again on Monday and delivered it to me. So basically it was about a 5-day process, 5 total days. Like I say, it cost me $34.99. This is one that is for sale for $38.99. It's the only listing, it's the lowest price listing I could find currently on eBay for this. But the way these things work, I thought I would talk about them just a little bit because there seems to be some confusion online about how they're used. Some people have found them very useful, and others, well, I don't know if it's bias against Chinese stuff or they react negatively to the Chinglish that are in the instructions. I haven't found it hard to use. You power it up by hitting the enter key, and then you'll notice that it says self-check pass. You put an IC in, and I'll talk a little bit about this socket here in a minute, and then you close it. This is called a ZIF socket for zero insertion force. So let me zero in a little bit. And you'll notice on the left it says Search. It's supposed to be search, but that's the way it is. And then you hit enter, and it tells you that this is a 74 LS100 or comma 132. It could be an LS132. There is a second mode that allows you to test, and to do that, you simply press the up arrow button, and you see it says 74HC. Press again, it says 74LS. Then you press the right arrow button to go over here, and because this is a 00, 74LS00, you just have to hit the enter key. And you see it says this is okay. One reason I wanted to point this out is some people don't seem to realize these are two completely separate modes, and they don't even work off the same, I will refer to it as database. It's really just some bits stored in a ROM that tell it what voltages to apply and what voltages to read off of this chip. Now, the instructions that I got were actually pretty good. Here is the instructions, and I think you can see that they're written in reasonably good English. They're not as easy to interpret as you might like, but they are at least written in fairly good English. And over on this side, it lists the different devices that you can test. So let me zoom in a little bit so you can see a little better what they are. You notice it says it has 3 search modes. Here they spell it right. One is the auto mode, and that's when it has search on the left and auto on the right. Or you can have search on the left and 5-volt mode on the right, or search and 3.3-volt mode. Now, I don't know if the 5-volt mode will harm a 3.3-volt device, but if you know it's a 3.3 device, I would suggest you use that mode. Then, of course, here are the things that it purports to test. 74HC, LS, CD40s, that's the 4000 series, the HEF 40s, the 45s and 145s, that's the 45 series, other, and I'll come back to that in a second, amp, which means amplifiers. So, for example, LM741s, you can test this way. TR means transistor. ZD is Zener diode. Light, it says, means an optocoupler, but I think you can actually test some LEDs with this, though I didn't have much results with that. And then off. Now, you can go to the off menu, or you can simply press the O key to turn the unit off. If you haven't done anything for 60 seconds, as you can see, the device turns itself off. So, when you power it up, if you power it up with a device inside, it will say there's an error. And the reason is it's trying to run the self-test and it's assuming there's nothing in the socket. However, if you press the enter key again, you'll see that it does a proper search. In other words, it only does the self-test once when it powers up, and then everything seems to work. So I said I was going to come back and talk about a few things. One of the things that I'm going to talk about is the HC and LS seem to work really well. But don't try to test something until you have properly set the digits on the right and make sure that the designator on the left fits the class of device you're working with. CD40s I found work very well as well. The HEF40s, I didn't test very many of those, only 3, but the 3 I tested did work. The 45s, once again, I tested about a dozen of those. The light I did not test. I did put some, I have some optocouplers, but frankly I didn't try testing them on this because I have another way of doing it. But here is something that I will point out is the other. Now it purports to test all of these devices. An 82C251, which I think is a RAM, a 75C1168, 75-175 and a 176, an MC3487, 26S10, 26LS32, a Max 485, and then I'll get to this one, a Max 232. Now I have, a Max 232, by the way, is a Maxim chip for interfacing TTL to RS-232. This device would not test properly the Max 232s. I have half a dozen or so perfectly good 232s that test fine on another test mode, but not on this one. Now, this was the only exception I was able to find. Generally, if you can find it listed and you put the correct digits to the right, let me go back to one of those. By the way, you sometimes have to hold the key down for a little while. Okay, I said Zener diodes. By the way, Zener diodes, you have to test down in the bottom row. Similarly, transistors you have to test in the bottom row. I found it only works on this side, that is the left-hand side, bottom 3 pins. And all it will do is tell you what the emitter, base, and collector are, and obviously if it does that, it thinks it's a good device, which for that purpose it is a good device. Doesn't give you HFE or any of those sorts of things. So this is my experience with the tester. Let me go to some of the earlier ones. So 74LS, as I said, 00, and once you've entered the correct numbers over here, if you press enter, it tests that device. Now I've tried various things like lifting a pin and so on. If you lift a pin, it says fault. So it's actually testing the IC. It's not just testing one part of it. It is testing all 4 sections. In this case, it's a quad NAND gate. So what I have found, I can't pretend that I have checked every function or every device, but I have done quite a few, perhaps a few hundred different devices, and it seems like a pretty nice unit. But understand, this is not testing the parameters of the device, things like rise time and setup time on flip-flops and things like that. It's simply determining that functionally the device performs like a truth table would say it should perform. So I hope that this is a useful exercise for people who might already have one of these and were frustrated because they didn't understand that it really has two modes, the search mode and the test mode, or they didn't realize that, for example, I will show you one thing you can do. If you get into, or you're not sure exactly what mode you're in, if you press the P key, what you will do is rerun the self-test, and you notice now it shows that same error again. As we noticed earlier, once you press enter, it searches for the LS100, but you have to go to the test mode for the 74LS series to actually test the device. This just tells you that it has detected a 74LS100 in the socket. ICs go at the top, transistors and diodes at the bottom, and I have found it to be very useful. I hope you find this video at least somewhat useful, and understand that if you buy one of these now, I think they have updated their instructions. At least they had as of a month or so ago. I just bought this one fairly recently. But I thought I would do this video as a kind of add-on to unique tools that I have found useful. So enjoy, I hope, this video. Look forward to some more, and I hope you have a nice day.